I've seen a lot of people today commenting about how the Cardano community seems much less concerned about the dramatic state of the markets than virtually any other community. This warrants some examination. Does Cardano meditate more? Are we all herbally self medicated? What exactly is going on here? I would offer it's not either of those things. It's that we're on a mission here. Yeah, we care about the markets, but only as a muted and foggy reflection of our progress on the path toward our goal of a better and fairer economic system. That's why on days like today, we in Cardano brush off the repetitive cyclical ups and downs, and to the rest of the crypto world, it seems like we just Cardano and chill. Ready? Let's go. Today, we are going to discuss Charles's comments to the mainstream media about comprehensive crypto regulation and the timeline on which we might get it, IOG's new P2P paper, a new partnership for ADA handle, a place where you can watch the Cardano code forges glowing red hot in real time or near real time, and an interesting thread on Djed. If you enjoy alpine touring in a majestic mountain winter wonderland, or if you're enjoying these videos each weekday, please consider delegating to the army of Spies, Stake Pool, Ticker, AOS. Also, I would love to go back to the Let's Go intros from all of you guys. So if you've got those in any language, English is fine, any other language is fine, as long as I can verify that you're saying let's go and not like Cardano sucks or something like that. Please feel free to record those with Vocaroo. That's vocaroo.com, and you can send those to me on Twitter. For the last couple of days, the entire crypto space has been completely entranced with watching the Luna Terra implosion, watching the UST crash. That's taken up 159% of our attention. But there's another shadow lurking in the corner that I think we've always got to be worried about, and that's when comprehensive crypto regulation will finally hit us. And in a perfect world, I don't think it would be something we'd have to worry about because we could rest assured that crypto regulation would be good for crypto. But I think we all know how regulation works, at least the way it affects our industry. It's usually not a good thing because the regulation isn't pushed in the right direction. Here's Fox Business reporting some comments from Charles on the timeline on which we might get comprehensive crypto regulation. And I think in some ways it could be a good timeline. In some ways it could be a bad timeline. And it's all sort of based on bureaucratic inefficiency. They're quoting Charles as saying, I think we'll probably be waiting until 2025 for real change to occur. I have zero faith in the party of Elizabeth Warren and these others that they're actually going to meaningfully influence crypto above and beyond. We've talked in the past about the me comments over the last year or two from Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler. Their very strong desires to regulate crypto in various ways, along with some others like Janet Yellen. Charles is quoted here as saying, I do believe this will push the legislative branch to escalate and actually pass a law at some point. But unless they move quickly, I don't think they have enough political time to be able to actually pass comprehensive legislation before the midterm elections. And I think he's got a good point here. We all know Washington does not move fast. They are not a light and agile organization. They're the exact opposite of that. So they've got a pretty tight timeline to actually get this thing done. And if they don't get it done, Charles is sort of predicting that we won't see comprehensive crypto regulation until 2025. He says, Washington is Washington, and the gears are pretty gummed up right now. It's likely nothing will actually get done in practice outside of more enforcements and regulation until 2025 with the change of the administration. Whenever the question is, will Washington be slow or will Washington be fast? I think we can safely say that the smart money is always on Washington will be slow. And in this case, I think Charles is probably right about that. The possible exception to that I could imagine at least would be if we have some phenomenally bad crashes across the crypto market. I mean, just with the UST implosion, we discussed yesterday Janet Yellen's comments about how they needed stablecoin regulation. If the entire crypto space crashes much, much harder even than it has already, if we see substantially lower numbers, then this could be kind of this call to arms for the dominant party in Washington right now. They might choose this as sort of like their little pet project. Like, let's show our constituents are all angry that the crypto markets have crashed. Let's show them that this political party does something for the constituents. And, maybe under those circumstances, we could see them, get together and do something to at least create an impression that they're reining in crypto. But could it be the true comprehensive framework for cryptocurrency regulation, one that makes sense to anybody? I don't know. I think the timelines might be a little bit too tight. I think Charles might be right on this. Who knows? In any case, whether it's now or in 2025, I have a feeling whatever we get, we might like some parts of it, but there are definitely going to be parts of it that we won't like. So maybe it's good that it gets pushed back to 2025. It doesn't solve one of the biggest problems in crypto that we've always had, and that's regulatory uncertainty. The further things get pushed back, the longer we go with this regulatory uncertainty. I'm sure people building projects would love for some of that to get cleared up. But at the same time, if the uncertainties are going to be resolved in a negative way, if things are going to get worse, stricter, maybe it's good we push it back too. If you're one of the 3 people in Cardano who all this time has been saying to yourself, I don't care about NFTs. I don't care about DeFi. I don't care about this Luna Terra drama. I don't want to watch the implosion. What I care about is a Byzantine resilient peer-to-peer gossip style network. That's what I need in my life. Now is your time. Sandro Coretti, Agalos Kiais, Christopher Moore, and Alexander Russell tell you they present a Byzantine resilient gossip protocol, and they analyze it in the Universal Composition Framework. They focus on the proof of stake setting due to its vulnerability to denial of service attacks. So the P2P paper from IOG is finally here. If you're one of those 3 people, Charles is probably another one of those 3 people. He says, I've been waiting a long time for this paper to be publicly released. It's a major piece of work formalizing peer-to-peer and discussing how hard in practice getting proof of stake networking right is. Here is a new partnership for ADA Handle. They say, we're proud to announce our newest partnership with @Cardano Mixer. Fire. CardMix is a transaction privacy protocol built on Cardano. We will work together to bring private transactions to the handle standard. You can see the Cardano Mixer logo is a little ninja head down here. So what exactly is Cardano Mixer? If you were around in the early days of crypto and you saw this little shinobi head and the word mixer in the title, you already knew exactly what this is. They say, protect your privacy in one click. Cardano Mixer is a fully decentralized protocol that breaks the link between the sender and the receiver of assets on the Cardano blockchain, enabling private transactions. If you were around in the early days of crypto, you'll remember that there was this period back in the day when there was definitely a perception that mixers were pretty effective, that mixers definitely did their job. And then we went through this little period where all of a sudden people were saying, yeah, but now there's forensic tools that can actually look through the mixers that can tell exactly what happened. Maybe things aren't quite so private anymore. I have no idea where Cardano Mixer will fit on that spectrum, but I can say I really appreciate that they seem to be, by default, dark theme. When I came into this website, it was already dark theme. I did not have to click on this at all. Cardano Mixer, really appreciate the default dark theme. I'm going to be honest, a quick 15-second cursory examination of their white paper, which is all I gave this, looks pretty promising. We see the white paper is called Cardano Mixer, a private transactions protocol for the Cardano blockchain from the Cardano Mixer development team. For obvious reasons, it was pretty predictable that this would be an anonymous team, unless they've revealed themselves somewhere. I was kind of expecting them to be anonymous, and it looks that way from the white paper at least. But things get kind of promising looking once we get down here to section 1.3, zero knowledge proofs and setup ceremony. In order to break the link between the sending and the receiving wallets, we use zero knowledge proofs of knowledge. In particular, we chose the growth 16 algorithm for the proof construction and verification. I'm going to have to go through this and look at this in more detail, but so far, this looks pretty promising. It looks like whoever set this up definitely had some ideas on how to achieve a good mixer in Cardano. I have no idea. I'm by no means an expert of any type on mixers. So this could be a good mixer, could be a bad mixer, but it looks like they've definitely put a little bit of effort into it. Cardano is a varied and diverse community. So I can imagine people are probably doing all kinds of things when they're having their Cardano and chill time. Maybe you're sipping on a little single malt scotch. Maybe you're drinking a little Irish whiskey. Maybe you're having a glass of red wine. But whatever you're doing, you can come on over here to cardanoupdates.com and watch the Cardano code forges glowing bright red at pretty much all times. Here you can see all the commits. Right now, 5 minutes apart, 0 minutes apart, 7 minutes apart. You might be sleeping, you might be having Cardano and chill time, but there are people out there working away to improve Cardano. I would love for this UST implosion narrative arc to finally reach its conclusion, but we did have another interesting revelation today. It looks like CoinDesk ran an article about how UST may not have been Do Kwon's first attempt at an algorithmic stablecoin. Looks like he was previously, I think, part of a team where he attempted to launch a previous algorithmic stablecoin called Basis Cash. He went under the pseudonym Rick Sanchez. Definitely approve of his choice of a nickname. But the important part is that I think a lot of people who were a part of UST and the whole Lunaterra ecosystem, they probably would have liked to have known this. Here we can see Cardano's own Dean saying, if this was an open secret that Do Kwon was the co-founder of a previous stablecoin that failed, why is this finally being reported now? I believe in this CoinDesk.tv clip, they said that this was kind of an open secret, maybe in certain circles in crypto. I can kind of understand how a lot of people in UST who probably feel like victims of Lunaterra and UST at this point after the gigantic losses of money and all the terrible stories we've seen over the last couple of days. They probably at this point, I think the vast majority of them would probably say, hey, I wish I would have known if the person behind this algorithmic stablecoin had previously failed at an algorithmic stablecoin. I could also understand the opposite argument. If someone came along and said, hey, actually, if I'm going to be involved in some kind of a product like this, I would actually prefer that the person behind this product has some previous experience. Even if it's failed experience, maybe they learned some lessons, and that's some experience they can use going forward in this new product that I'm going to become a part of. But in this case, so much money was lost, and people have probably had such a negative experience throughout this entire fiasco that I'm sure the vast majority would say, yeah, I definitely would have liked to have known that he previously took a stab at an algorithmic stablecoin and it failed. That would have been relevant information in my choice to become involved in this ecosystem. So people are asking the question, hey, we do have this kind of ideal that we don't dox people when they're using anonymous identities. But at the same time, this would have been super relevant information to most people when they were making the decision to become involved in this ecosystem. So we have kind of these conflicting principles. Like we sort of, especially in crypto, we sort of allow anonymity where people choose it, and it's definitely frowned upon to dox those people. But at the same time, if they're selling an investment like this, and the previous identity would be so relevant, would be so pertinent to someone's decision to invest in this new venture, how do we balance those two things, not doxing people and making sure investors have all the relevant information? Obviously, the implosion of UST has created a great amount of focus on stablecoins. And nobody really knows at this point what the future of stablecoins will be, algorithmic stablecoins, anyways, because all the algorithmic stablecoins have, you know, to some degree suffered a fate in the same direction as UST, at least. Obviously, one of the big new features of the greater Cardano DeFi ecosystem, we'll say, is going to be the Djed algorithmic stablecoin being issued by Coty. So a lot of people are asking the question, how do we know that Djed isn't going to suffer the same fate as UST and a lot of other algorithmic stablecoins? Luckily, we've got a thread here from Matthew Ploman. Matthew Ploman says he's a TradFi dinosaur, quickly evolving, based out of Connecticut and Manhattan. Just based on that, I would say it sounds like he may know a thing or two about economics and financial systems. He goes through and he's obviously taken a lot of time, looked over the Djed white paper very closely, and seems to have a lot more substantive observations about the actual white paper than pretty much anybody else I've seen. I see a lot of people mentioning the Djed white paper, and they pretty much say, I don't understand the math. I have no ability to understand the math. I'm just going to trust the researchers. Not Matthew Ploman. He goes through the Djed white paper and asks a lot of interesting questions. I don't know the answers to his questions. Some of these are legitimate questions, and some of the things he points out are just observations that I think probably trouble him about the future of Djed. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a response from some of the parties behind Djed, maybe even the authors of this paper, but some interesting questions. I'm personally glad to see that people are asking hard questions about the way Djed's going to work, because this UST thing has made a lot of people think differently about algorithmic stablecoins, and that's probably a good thing in our ecosystem. I hope you had a great week. You're gearing up for a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.